morning. My name is Sofia Boca and I represent the first speaker of the government. The motion debated today is that this House consider that volunteer work should be recognized as work experience by employers. Our team's proposed is to prove that this motion should be adopted and why it should be adopted. In my speech, I will firstly clarify the keywords in order to understand the motion better. Then I will present to you the status quo and our proposal in order to improve it. And after that, I will present to you our first two arguments, one regarding social effects and one academic effect. Volunteer work refers to the unpaid work developed by an individual due to its own free will through a non-for-profit or a non-governmental organization benefiting both the community and the volunteer. Work experience consists in all the previous experience, expertise and knowledge acquired by a person through working in a specific field or occupation. The employer is a person or an organization that engages in offering jobs to people. At the moment, there is no universal act or legislation regarding the issue enunciated, but we need to talk about our continent. So in Europe, volunteering is very much supported and has a lot of importance in order to get and apply for a job. We believe that volunteer work is relevant to the development of a future work for both practical and technical skills. The way we approach it now will influence the future society's approach. Our first argument is that volunteering does involve a working environment. When engaging in this sort of activities, individuals familiarize with the terms and the conditions of an actual workspace. They come in contact with persons who are authorities, and they must adopt a responsible attitude in order to fulfill all the requirements. A working environment represents more than the actual work a person does in a company, for example, knowing how to create a site or administrate a building. A working environment means that you understand how to work in a team, how to take responsibilities and communicate with others. In countries like United Kingdom, there are many libraries provided only by volunteers because they want to offer everyone a chance to get the idea of what a working environment is. The second argument is that if volunteering would be considered a work experience, young employment is encouraged. Every employer wants to have in its business young people, but they want them with experience. Well, how can we have both? Volunteering offers a solution to this problem, and moreover, people who already volunteer in a specific field show that they are really interested in that profile. For example, in France, if in your curriculum vitae isn't read at least one volunteering program attended in that specific area, nobody even cares about your curriculum vitae and everything else that is in there. We consider volunteering as the best option to gain experience, the experience that comes to you with no pressure on your shoulders and with a lot of advantages. Because you are not paid for your actions, you do not have actual deadlines, and it's not as stressful as the work done by an actual employee. Now you are just involved in a specific area and ready to learn as much as possible. That is why volunteering is so important. We don't just understand what is an actual working environment as an alternative to work. We encourage the youth to do something for them and for the society in the same time. Thank you.
is a pleasure to be here and thank you for having us. My name is Maria José and I am representing my team as first speaker. Volunteering is everything you said, but you forget one little thing. Volunteering is an altruistic activity. It is most important for all, generally considered an altruistic activity, where an individual or group provides services with no financial gain to benefit another person, group, or organization. And what does altruistic mean? Someone who is altruistic is someone who shows a wish to help or bring advantages for others. Someone who is concerned about the welfare of others, but does not care about advantages these actions may bring back to him or herself. Therefore, if one chooses to acknowledge volunteering as an important part of one's CV, this sense of the question is lost along the way. We absolutely consider volunteering must remain as a plain and simple action of helping others and should not be part of the curriculum. Community service is all about giving back. If you are only doing it to get something out of it, you are missing the main point, which is solidarity out of an interest. Volunteering cannot be recognized as experience by employers because the risk is too high. If volunteering is taken into consideration and thus become a selection criterion for employers, everyone will feel obliged to participate in volunteering activities. It will be a must instead of a will, which will completely distort the original and real spirit of an act of volunteering. To be volunteer, you need to have some specific characteristics, of course, such as a great deal of compassion, tolerance, social responsibility, commitment, and not everyone possesses these features. Doesn't mean that they are bad people, of course, or they will be less qualified and less skilled employees. They are just not cut out to be in any type of activity which requires all of this. Should they be forced into volunteering because it will be a requisite in the world of work? Of course not. Let us have a close at young people's case in relation to be volunteering. Many young people would consider trying some type of volunteering because they genuinely feel the need to help and comfort the less fortunate. However, this would take a lot of time, which they don't really have, and might result in other areas of their lives such as school, family, friends, work, or other obligations being neglected. So, in the process of making life better for others, you could end up hurting yourself or damaging some aspect of your personal life. It is definitely time-consuming with no monetary compensation. In fact, sometimes you may even have to spend money when you volunteer, so your overall income suffers, and so does your everyday life standard. There is also another important aspect which should be taken into consideration. The more time you spend volunteering, the more frequently you are exposed to situations that can create feelings of stress, anxiety, and frustration. The emotional involvement is always great and it may leave you sad and anxious, which will be harmful for your own health. It could definitely put a strain on your emotional, mental, and physical health. There are situations where volunteers are so much committed and involved that can easily become frustrated that others around them do not share their compassion and their commitment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The second speaker of the proposition team regarding the motion, this House considers that volunteer work should be considered work experienced by employers. My speech today will consist of firstly building up the case of what my first speaker presented. Then I will start bringing counter arguments for the first speaker of the opposition team, and then I will bring the third argument of the proposition team. In order to start my speech, I want to remind you the first argument that was brought up by the first speaker of the proposition team. This is based on the fact that individuals acquire certain skills that they need in order to engage in certain jobs and actual jobs. They acquire these skills while doing volunteering work. These skills, such as leadership, speaking abilities, and so on and so forth, social skills, will not be able to be acquired when engaging in domains such as IT and literature, for example, and will more probably be acquired when engaging with other people through volunteering. The second argument of our team was that the volunteering encourages employment. This basically says that a young graduate is encouraged to do volunteering, which is basically very well put around the fact of helping others, and this also brings up a very good opportunity to gain a very important part of your CV, a part that is very asked for when applying to certain jobs and universities. The volunteering work time. I will now start the second part of my speech, which is to bring counter arguments for what the first speaker of the opposition said. Firstly, they said that the first argument was that you need certain skills in order to be able to engage in volunteer work. You will need patience, you need to be able to speak freely, and the point of volunteer work is for an individual to be able to develop the skills, not have them when the individual starts doing volunteer work. He needs to develop his abilities in order to get ready for a proper job and be able to apply for a job in order to get paid. This is why he doesn't get paid for volunteer work, because he is not certified and well trained for the job he's doing. The second argument they brought up is that many young people feel the need to get involved in volunteering, and they don't have time to get involved in volunteering. They said that it can be very stressful for young people and pre-graduates to get involved in volunteering, while they should be more focused on the academic part of their development and growing up. They said that volunteering is being very stressful and creating a lot of stress and unrelevant engagement they have to take part in. We do not agree with that, because volunteering is based on giving back, and volunteering is made up in order to get yourself to help others. The last part of my speech is going to be bringing the last argument of the proposition team. This says that volunteering and internships at very big corporations will let young graduates to get further experience and be easier employed. For example, the mechanism of how this works is that many corporations, such as Continental and IBM and Microsoft, offer internships and volunteer work for young graduates and pre-graduates in order to offer them a workplace and get easier into the work environment after they finish university or they behave well in their internship. Thank you very much for your attention.
Hello, my name is Miguel and I'm representing the opposition team as the second speaker. In my speech, I will further develop the arguments brought up by my colleague and offer rebuttal to the new argument and the arguments before who were presented by the proposition team. We understand that volunteering is a very important experience and we are not in any way, shape or form denying it. We acknowledge its benefits. However, we do believe that it being recognized as experience by employers would, as my colleague said, defeat the core premise of volunteer work and corrupt the people involved in it, making it close to pointless. And I'll explain. Volunteering is supposed to be an act of kindness, of uncorrupted good. Since people engage in multiple selfless good deeds, putting others' happiness above their own will help in helping to build towards a more fair world. The type of people we want to be doing this type of work are people who are not seeking any compensation, are people who only have in mind the common good and the aforementioned fair world. Who's to say that if volunteer work starts to get recognized on one's CV, those motives wouldn't be corrupted, and what once was an interest in motivated work wouldn't become something just formal, cold, or just an obligation to get a job. In the long run, it would completely destroy the main purpose of volunteer work and its essence. Not only that, but the urge to get volunteer work on their resumes could rush young people who are very hungry for work experience into volunteer work.
I agree with the fact that as soon as volunteer work is recognized in the resume, more people will do volunteering.
Sorry, I didn't get your...
Don't you agree with the fact that more people will do volunteering if it is recognized in their resume or CV?
That more people will get into volunteering? Yeah. Yes, but it could become something formal, something without any type of meaning. The meaning that we wanted to have, something that is good in itself and doesn't have any ulterior motive. Plus, you said that it offers, some companies like IBM and Continental offer experience, have volunteer internships. That's what you said, right?
Yes.
Okay. But the point of volunteer work is that you develop, as you said, a certain set of skills that you can't get in a regular job. And by volunteering in the same corporations that you're trying to escape doing humanitarian and volunteer work, you're just running in the circle, and you're getting the same skills you would get when you went to work in those places after your internship. This is not what we want, and this is not what volunteering is all about. We are trying to protect volunteering's selfless spirit, and this would just, as I already said, completely corrupt it, and that type of volunteer work would eventually and inevitably corrupt it completely. Plus, as my colleague said, and picking up on your young people argument, volunteer work requires a tremendous amount of inner strength and a lot of physical and emotional endurance. And young people being rushed towards it because they feel like it's a need and that they will absolutely require volunteer work in their resumes, it would most likely get them to get into volunteer work that wouldn't match their skill set, and that would harm their personal growth, the project itself, and this would lead to them not earning the skills, damaging the project, and if they get too emotionally involved, they would, as my colleague said, can get into a state of anxiety and pure depression that would only lead to one thing: them not being able to work in a workplace. so less young people would have jobs.
Good morning, my name is Stefan Poppa, and I'll be reading as speaker number 3 of the government regarding the motion this House considers that volunteering should be considered as work experience by employers. As speaker number 3, I'm going to review the debate and the arguments as they are now, and I'll make an analysis based on the clashing points of these arguments. I've detected 2 big clashing points that are standing right at the foundation of the definition and in this motion. The definition of volunteering. The opposition said in their statement that volunteering is an altruistic activity that shouldn't be taken in consideration into their resume, and they only create advantages for the others. It is definitely wrong to think like that because helping is a side advantage in order for you to get experience in that domain. You are not assigned a volunteering activity. You are signing for it. You are signing up for it. So you choose the domain that you are going. Experience isn't necessarily related to the thing that you want to practice. It is also related to personal skills that you develop during that volunteering activity. You may sure.
If it is a personal, you are missing the main point of volunteering, that is working for others, and it's not personal.
Yeah, but that it's irrelevant because the motion says that you have to gain experience and should be considered by employers. It is not relevant to the motion. Thank you. Being able to communicate and work properly with your team in a big firm is something that employers are looking for in these times. To sustain this idea, I'd like to add the fact that when you finish high school or university, you will still need an introduction path in this working market, the marketplace of work. Because no one hires you with zero experience and only theoretical intelligence. The only way to do that is by volunteering. The second clashing point I detected is on the speech of the speaker number 2, when he said that volunteering may harm the personal growth of the people that practice it. That is a wrong argument only because when you're doing volunteering, you necessarily have to work with others that might have connection. There's a phenomenon in this domain called networking. Networking supposes that you meet other people that may have connections with others, so you make connections yourself with them. You can, no thank you. You may get to a point when you make a connection with an employer that then can offer you an unpaid internship, some things that are true in these times. Unpaid internship are work that you do for a firm, of course, without any compensation, in order to get experience and get a chance to be hired at that firm for the salary and everything. And the only way to do that is by volunteering. And it's not necessarily that you create advantages for others and you work for others. It's for you to gain experience, something that this motion stands right at. Thank you.
My name is Anna and I'm the third speaker from Portugal team. So we are not here to refute that volunteering doesn't have the benefits and advantages in today's and future society. Yes, we should help people, yes, that's right. But do you think that should be recognized as an experience by employers? No, of course not. Like, okay, it's a very good act, but you always said, the three of you, that helping others, we get experience to work in the future. That's right, but that's the main point of volunteering? No, the main point is to help others, okay? We have to help without getting anything back, right? We are helping because we have good hearts. We don't want to help to get that place in that company, but yeah, like you said that young people should do volunteering because it's a way to get experience to the future. But do you think that sometimes when you help others, you see things that really hurts? You see things that you will never forget. And as a teenager, I think that sometimes we can't forget certain things. Things hurt more when we are on the teenage years. You see how many teenagers commit suicide because things that maybe adults think are stupid. But for us, it hurts so much. Seeing a person starving, yeah, it hurts. And you saying that that's experience? No, I don't think so.
Question.
I think there is a time where we need to do volunteering, but we need to know when is the right time. Like sometimes it's in the teenage years, sometimes it's when you get old. And asking us to do volunteering, to get in that company, it's not the right thing, I think so. Yes.
Nobody said that volunteering is actually necessary to get experience. Like you volunteer for others, but it can also help yourself. That's what we said.
But then you are missing the main point. The main point of volunteering is to help others. You know, of course, you will feel good with yourself helping others. I think so. Okay, so you always said that when you do volunteering, you will not get paid for that. So that's the altruist meaning, the altruist in volunteering. But you will not get paid, but you will receive the thing that you will get in the company that you want. So you are again losing the main point of volunteering. Like, I think so, but I'm not sure. And in teenage years, we are studying, we are stressed in school, we have everything around us, we have the society pressure in us, and we have to do volunteering, we are losing time for studying, we are losing time for doing sports and other activities. I'm not saying that volunteering is not important, of course it is. But you have the pressure of school, the grades, everything, and sometimes you need to relax too and do something that we really like sports or having fun, like with other things. So I really think that we should help each other, we should do volunteering, but we have to know when it's the right time to do that. So I think that it's not a good idea to be recognized as experience by employers, and I think my team agrees with me. Thank you.
The reply speech for the opposition. I'd like to start by saying that although the proposition makes some good arguments to support the motion, I believe there's really no case that we made the better points and that we should, without a question, win the debate. During some of the clashes in the obvious differences of opinion that we had, I've noticed that the proposition team has neglected some of the things that we stated, mainly in the personal growth argument that the third speaker made, because you have a chance to grow on a personal level, but you also have a high chance of getting frustrated when you're working with others if they don't share the same passion as you do, or if you don't, or if they're not as emotionally involved or as prepared for it as you are. And if more people get into volunteering for the resume and to get experience, to be more prepared for jobs, not prepared, but for it to be recognized in job interviews or when you apply for a job, then you will definitely have a lot more people who will be entering volunteer work for that reason, and instead of, as you said, the personal growth and the set of skills and the experience that you bring. So I really do believe there is no argument. the jury should vote for the side who presented the better arguments and the side that made the better case, and which is clearly our side. Thank you.
You know, I find it very funny how the whole speech, all three speeches of the team opposition was mainly built up on the concept of conservatism and why only the moral values and not actual gains of volunteering are these points were only brought up to their speeches. Their cases, well, in contrast to our cases, their cases do not bring real mechanisms on what gains the society will gain through not obliging employers to recognize volunteering as a legitimate work experience for the employed person and the individual. We do not think that their approach is relevant at all, because for every argument we brought up regarding social and economic concerns about volunteering, they only brought up counter-arguments regarding why we just run around in a circle and miss the whole point of the volunteering. And they said that volunteering is supposed to be altruism. Well, volunteering is supposed to be altruism, yes. We do not say that one should only follow his own goals and achievements in volunteering. We said that one should be able to make some personal gain at all while doing his job, what he signed up for, and not receiving any kind of remuneration at all, not being paid at all. As long as the individual does his duty in volunteering, he should gain something at the very least, and he should at least get some kind of job easier. I think that with this said, we made clear why the government team has won the debate. Thank you.